Have you ever wondered what ancient secrets lie hidden in the dusty pages of history? What if there are forgotten texts that challenge everything we think we know about spirituality and the divine? For centuries, obscure manuscripts have surfaced from the sands of Egypt, whispering mysteries that might alter our understanding of religion and existence itself. Today, we delve into the world of the Gnostic Gospels, exploring the enigmatic teachings and perplexing beliefs that have captivated scholars and seekers alike. What truths or riddles await us in these ancient writings? Let's embark on this journey of discovery. Over the past 300 years, numerous papyrus manuscripts have been uncovered in the southern regions of Egypt. Written in Coptic, an ancient Egyptian language that flourished during the Roman and early Byzantine periods, these texts are classified as Gnostic. But what does it mean to be Gnostic? These writings range from cryptic sayings attributed to Jesus to metaphorical visions that evoke a sense of the apocalyptic. Are these simply remnants of a bygone belief system, or do they hold secret codes waiting to be deciphered? In this video, we will explore the profound and often perplexing ideas found within 5 of the most notable Gnostic Gospels, seeking to unravel their origins and intentions. Gnosticism emerged in the 1st century AD, primarily within Jewish and early Christian communities. This religious movement later gave rise to various Islamic offshoots as well. The term Gnosticism comes from the Greek word gnostikos, meaning having knowledge. For Gnostics, salvation was not something to be achieved through traditional religious practices or the teachings of Jesus Christ, but was instead attained through a personal and mystical understanding of the universe, referred to as gnosis. In Gnostic thought, the material world is viewed as inherently flawed and evil, a stark contrast to the pure, unseen spiritual realm. The creator god, known as Yaldabaoth or the Demiurge, is often depicted as a lesser deity who brought about this flawed physical existence. In stark opposition, Gnostics believed in a higher benevolent divine being referred to as the original creator, transcending the imperfections of the material world. This belief system sharply conflicted with Orthodox Christianity, leading to the Gnostic texts being branded as heretical by early church authorities. What makes these Gnostic writings particularly intriguing is their mystical and metaphorical nature, which sets them apart from the canonical texts of the New Testament. Their cryptic messages can be frustratingly difficult to interpret, leaving readers to grapple with their complex symbolism. Among the most well-known Gnostic texts is the Gospel of Thomas. Unlike the traditional narratives found in the New Testament, this text comprises a series of sayings attributed to Jesus, many of which remain obscure and largely unknown to the public. One of the most controversial passages can be found in saying 114 of the Gospel of Thomas, where a dialogue unfolds between Simon Peter and Jesus, touching on deeply provocative themes of gender and spiritual worth. In this exchange, Peter, representing the more traditional views of the disciples, urges that Mary Magdalene be cast out, claiming that women are not worthy of life. This statement reflects the patriarchal attitudes prevalent during that time, where women were often marginalized in both religious and societal contexts. However, Jesus' response is striking in its radical departure from these norms. He says, "I will guide her to make her male, so that she too may become a living spirit resembling you males. For every woman who makes herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven." At first glance, this passage can seem unsettling, especially in its implications about gender. But rather than taking the language literally, scholars often interpret this saying through the lens of Gnostic spirituality, where gender is a metaphor for deeper spiritual transformation. In Gnosticism, the material world, including gender distinctions, is seen as a construct of the flawed physical realm, one that must be transcended to achieve gnosis, or spiritual enlightenment. To make her male is not about changing one's physical identity, but about transcending earthly limitations, embodying the spiritual qualities traditionally associated with the masculine in ancient religious thought, such as reason, intellect, and authority. This idea of transcending gender roles aligns with Gnostic beliefs that the spirit is neither male nor female, but a pure, divine essence that goes beyond physical distinctions. In this passage, Jesus is essentially stating that all souls, regardless of their earthly gender, are capable of reaching the same spiritual heights. The Gnostic texts often challenge conventional religious norms, offering more mystical and esoteric interpretations of salvation, where enlightenment is available to all who seek it, regardless of social or biological identity. Another striking statement appears in saying 77 of the Gospel of Thomas, where Jesus declares, "I am the light that is over all things. I am all, split a piece of wood, I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there." This profound statement is packed with symbolism and layers of meaning, and it offers a glimpse into the Gnostic understanding of the divine nature of Jesus and the universe itself. In Gnostic cosmology, the material world is not seen as inherently good or evil, but as a veil that conceals the true, higher spiritual reality. Jesus' words here suggest his omnipresence, his existence in all things, whether animate or inanimate. By saying, "Split a piece of wood, I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me." Jesus emphasizes that divinity is not confined to any particular place, person, or object, but exists throughout all of creation. This omnipresence reflects the interconnectedness of the spiritual and material realms, with the divine essence permeating every aspect of the physical world. However, the choice of everyday, humble objects like wood and stone also carries deeper meaning. These ordinary, seemingly insignificant items represent the physical world, which Gnostics often viewed as flawed or corrupt. Yet, by asserting that he is present even within these mundane materials, Jesus is pointing to a higher truth, that the divine is hidden within the ordinary, waiting to be discovered by those who seek it. This idea encourages contemplation of the divine not as something far removed from daily life, but as something that can be encountered in the smallest details of the world around us. It is a call to look beyond surface appearances and to perceive the sacred in all things. The passage also invites further contemplation on the nature of the divine itself. Jesus here identifies with the light that is over all things, a concept that speaks to both his transcendence and immanence. In Gnostic thought, light often symbolizes knowledge, truth, and the spiritual realm, while darkness represents ignorance and the material world. By positioning himself as the ultimate source of light, Jesus is aligning himself with the higher spiritual realm, while simultaneously suggesting that this light is not separate from the material world. It pervades it. This powerful statement reinforces the Gnostic belief in a deeper reality behind the visible world, one that can be accessed through spiritual insight and personal revelation. But before we dive deeper, if you're looking to effortlessly attract massive wealth starting today, don't miss the shocking secrets revealed by a rogue NASA scientist. Check the link in the comments below. This could be the opportunity that changes your life. Now, let's get back to exploring these profound teachings. Next, we turn our attention to the Sophia of Jesus Christ, one of the most mystical texts within Gnostic literature. This document unfolds through a series of existential inquiries directed at Jesus by his disciples, probing the nature of creation, existence, and the divine. For instance, when one disciple asks why everything came to be, Jesus replies, "The Great Spirit was the Creator. Because of his love, he wanted to bear fruit from himself, so he would not be alone in his opulence." Another disciple, Thomas, questions the number of universes in existence. Jesus cryptically responds that the original Creator created 12 universes for the 12 angels, all perfect until a flaw arose in the subordinate. This flaw is often interpreted as a reference to how physical matter came into being. It originated when Sophia, a lesser divine being, attempted to exercise her creative powers independently, resulting in the creation of Yaldabaoth and the flawed material world. This notion reinforces the Gnostic disdain for the physical realm, as it is seen as a product of a misguided action. Reading the Sophia of Jesus Christ is akin to navigating a labyrinth of abstract ideas and profound metaphors, constantly leaving the reader questioning the deeper significance of these symbolic expressions. Another significant text is the Gospel of Philip, known for its provocative insights into the relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene. This text reveals a level of intimacy that raises eyebrows and fuels speculation about the nature of their bond. It states, "The companion of the Savior is Mary Magdalene. But Christ loved her more than all the disciples and used to kiss her often on the mouth. The rest of the disciples were offended by it. They said to him, 'Why do you love her more than all of us?'" Such revelations ignited debates regarding Jesus' celibacy and his relationships with women, hinting at deeper social dynamics among the disciples. The Gospel of Philip may have even inspired the controversial Gospel of Jesus' wife, a modern fragment that provoked a media frenzy upon its discovery. However, after extensive examination, this later text was deemed a forgery, leaving the traditional view of Jesus' celibacy largely intact. Additionally, the Gospel of Philip makes a bold claim regarding the nature of creation, asserting, "The world came about through a mistake. For he who created it wanted to create it imperishable and immortal. He fell short of attaining his desire." This sentiment aligns with the core Gnostic belief that the true God would never be involved in the creation of an imperfect world, rife with suffering and disconnection from the divine. The Coptic Apocalypse of Paul offers yet another fascinating perspective, recounting a prophetic vision experienced by the Apostle Paul. As he travels to Jerusalem, Paul encounters a child who turns out to be the Holy Spirit in disguise. The Spirit instructs Paul to awaken his mind, urging him to recognize the hidden truths within the visible world. As Paul ascends through 10 heavens, he witnesses a soul being judged for its sins and learns of its fate. This narrative takes a darker turn as the soul is cast back to earth, suggesting themes of moral reckoning and the consequences of earthly actions. Paul's journey also leads him to encounter a divine figure whose overwhelming radiance poses an obstacle to his ascent. This depiction of the Jewish god Yahweh is strikingly negative, presenting a Gnostic critique of traditional beliefs. One of the most ambiguous texts in Gnostic literature, the Gospel of Judas, offers a highly symbolic and deeply challenging message that has puzzled scholars for centuries. This text stands out not only because of its portrayal of Judas Iscariot, but also due to its cryptic and often provocative dialogue between Jesus and Judas. One particularly enigmatic passage occurs when Jesus tells Judas, "Truly I say to you, the stars complete all these things." When Sacklus completes the time that's been determined for him, their first star will appear with the generations, and they'll finish what's been said. At first glance, this statement is shrouded in mystery, opening the door to a wide range of interpretations about its deeper significance. The reference to Sacklus is key to understanding this passage. Sacklus, also known as the Demiurge, is a lesser god in Gnostic cosmology, often associated with ignorance and material creation. In Gnostic thought, the Demiurge is responsible for shaping the flawed physical world, and he is often seen as a figure of deception, trapping souls in material existence. In this context, Jesus seems to be alluding to a divine timetable, one in which Sacklus, representing the forces of ignorance and illusion, will fulfill his predetermined role in the grand cosmic drama. The completion of time could symbolize the end of Sacklus' influence over the material world, suggesting that a period of spiritual darkness or entrapment is drawing to a close. The phrase, "the stars complete all these things," hints at a cosmic alignment or astrological event that will mark this significant moment in the spiritual timeline. In ancient beliefs, stars were often seen as symbols of divine order and fate, and their movements were believed to influence the course of human history. Here, the stars may represent the culmination of spiritual forces coming together to fulfill a greater prophecy or divine plan. This connection to celestial bodies implies that the events being foretold are not just earthly, but part of a larger, universal cycle that transcends human understanding. The mention of their first star will appear with the generations could signify a new era or a transformative event that will affect future generations. In Gnostic terms, this could be interpreted as the emergence of higher spiritual knowledge or the awakening of souls to the truth of their divine nature. As Sackler's time runs out, the first signs of a new spiritual age may begin to manifest, suggesting a radical shift in the cosmic balance between ignorance and enlightenment. This prophecy raises profound questions. What kind of events might this cryptic message be predicting? Could it foreshadow an impending transformation or upheaval in the spiritual landscape? The Gospel of Judas often speaks in metaphors and symbols, inviting readers to consider multiple layers of meaning. One particularly unsettling notion mentioned in this passage is that of murdering children, a concept that has sparked considerable debate about its symbolic implications. In this context, murdering children likely doesn't refer to literal violence, but may instead symbolize the spiritual death or ignorance passed down to future generations. Gnostic thought often emphasizes the idea of spiritual entrapment, where souls are bound to the material world through ignorance, fear, and false teachings. In this sense, the children could represent those who are spiritually immature or unaware of the deeper truths hidden behind the veil of physical existence. The murder of these children could signify the destruction of their spiritual potential, as they are led astray by the false teachings of the demiurge and his agents. This symbolic death of future generations raises troubling questions about the nature of legacy and belief. Are we passing down truth, or are we perpetuating a cycle of ignorance that stifles spiritual growth? The prophecy could be interpreted as a warning, urging those who seek gnosis to break free from the chains of material existence and help others do the same. It challenges believers to consider how the forces of deception continue to operate within religious institutions, societal structures, and even familial traditions, perpetuating a flawed understanding of the divine. The reference to their first star appearing with the generations could also suggest hope, that amidst the darkness of ignorance, a new light will emerge. This could be a metaphor for a new wave of spiritual awakening, where individuals or generations will begin to see through the illusions created by the demiurge and recognize their true divine origins. The completion of Sackler's time might herald the end of an era dominated by material concerns and the beginning of a more enlightened age, where knowledge and spiritual liberation are accessible to all who seek it. Ultimately, this passage in the Gospel of Judas offers a profound reflection on the ongoing battle between ignorance and enlightenment, urging readers to consider their role in either perpetuating or breaking free from the cycles of deception that bind humanity to the material world. It challenges traditional narratives and invites us to contemplate the cosmic forces at play in the unfolding spiritual journey of humankind. The Gospel of Judas also challenges the early church's understanding of God, describing him as a luminous cloud of light existing in an imperishable realm. In this narrative, the first human, named Adamas, is fashioned, adding another layer to the complex Gnostic cosmology. Surprisingly, instead of portraying Judas as the ultimate traitor, this text depicts him as the only true disciple who fully comprehended Jesus' mission and acted in obedience to his directives. Such teachings provoke thought about common Christian practices, as the text denounces the act of communion as cannibalism, implying a literal interpretation of consuming Jesus' flesh and blood. These radical perspectives stand in stark contrast to mainstream Christian doctrine and provoke deeper questions about faith, interpretation, and the nature of divine authority. Across the centuries, countless Gnostic texts have emerged from various locations, both within the Nag Hammadi library and beyond, each offering unique insights into Gnostic beliefs and practices. However, the obscure origins of these writings remain hotly debated among scholars. One prevailing theory suggests that these manuscripts were hidden by a Gnostic community in Egypt during the 4th century to protect them from destruction by Orthodox authorities. Others propose that the concealment was deliberate, intended to preserve and transmit esoteric teachings to future generations. The ambiguity and esotericism of these texts suggest they were likely meant for a select group of initiates, echoing the notion of secret knowledge found in various ancient traditions. Some researchers note potential influences from Eastern religions, such as Zoroastrianism and Buddhism, while the consensus remains that Gnosticism has deep roots in Jewish Christian traditions. Many Gnostic texts explicitly reference Judaism, often rejecting the Jewish deity in a dramatic fashion. The teachings of Paul during early Christianity may have provided fertile ground for Gnostic thought, as they emphasized the disqualification of Jewish law and portrayed the material body as a prison from which the spirit must escape. This theme of spiritual liberation is central to Gnostic doctrine. Some speculate that Gnostic writings might have originated from a secret society, akin to the Knights Templar or Freemasons, with hidden codes and symbols embedded within. However, substantial evidence to support this claim remains elusive. To this day, we remain uncertain whether these texts are concealed codes waiting to be decoded or mere remnants of a vibrant doctrine that once flourished in the shadows of history. Regardless of their true nature, the discovery of Gnostic texts offers us a unique glimpse into a complex and captivating world long buried beneath the sands of time. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of the enigmatic teachings of the Gnostic Gospels. If you found this journey intriguing, please like and subscribe for more captivating content. I'd love to hear your thoughts and interpretations. Feel free to share your insights in the comments below. What other mysteries of history would you like to unravel next? I look forward to seeing you in our next exploration of the unknown.